Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Reset for Success show. I'm Marion LaSalle, and my co-hosts today are Lady Lou and Mary Mount. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Good,
morning.
good morning. We're so glad to be here. It's another beautiful day, and we love sharing it with you and everyone else. So, welcome, welcome.
So
And
this show is almost every single day. We try very hard, except for on Sundays, to get here so that we can not only reset ourselves, but also help you reset your life because we find that we need reminders. And everybody seems to fall into that category of, oh, I know I was supposed to start that diet, or, oh, I remember I was supposed to be kinder when I was driving, but I forgot. Darn it. So sometimes we have to reset every day. Sometimes we have to reset every hour. Sometimes it can go for a week or a month, but the reset button is there for you. And we are bringing you tips and tricks and all kinds of strategies on how to live a better, healthier, happier, more productive, and prosperous life.
oh,
And today we have a great topic. It's about Mary, take it away.
Well, I learned a long time ago that I didn't know anything about life, and I didn't know anything about me. And I went through a series of 30 years of just digging in, and I dug and dug and dug. And to give you an example, one day I was in class, and my teachers told me, he says, Mary said, or told the class, he said, anger is nothing but fear. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not fearful of anything, but you could tell I was angry. And I left that class that day, and I'm driving down the road, and I was in outside sales, and driving down the road, and this fool got ahead of me. Oh my gosh. I used to drive like a race car driver up and down those freeways because I had to get from one appointment to another. So, anyway, in the middle of this absolute tirade of profanity that any Navy guy would have been proud of, stopped and I thought, wait a minute. Okay, what could I possibly be afraid of? And this little voice right up here came in and said, well, you idiot, he's ahead of you. Ding. And it dawned on me I had spent my whole life trying to get ahead. And do you know that day I slowed down and I have never, and that's been 30 years ago, and that has never happened again.
wow. That's big.
Yeah, just by saying when you're angry, when you get angry, you know, or I know, or at least I believe, that if you're angry, then you're fearful. And if we can take just a second and say, what am I afraid of? That anger will dissipate at least 50% at that point. And then you can go on and figure out what it was you were afraid of. And,
Wow.
it's usually something like not being good enough, smart enough, rich enough, thin enough, tall enough, sexy enough, all those enoughs we perceive ourselves to be. You know,
Oh, dear. Now, that is a huge tip. I've not thought about doing that because I used to drive like that too. Unfortunately.
I can't imagine you doing that, Louise.
Yep. I did. So I can use
Oh,
that. What?
so in Westbury, I live in Westbury in the Houston area. And in Westbury, for
I
some
know.
reason, the great people that designed our neighborhoods open it up to 3 lanes and then they bring it back down to 2 lanes and they break it up to 3 lanes and then they break it down to 2 lanes. And so every time they do that, people fill in that third lane and then they have to try to get over when it cuts off. And everybody wants to get ahead of that person that's going slow or may go slow. And so it crowds, and you're right, it's a fearful reaction because, oh my God, there's no room and they're still there. When somebody's got to get here. It's like, how dare you come up on my left and try to get in front of me? I was here. What? And so,
You
yes,
sound nicer than I do.
the fear definitely comes in. So what I did was I thought, well, Marion, this happens every day, on the way home, on the way to work, on the way home. So why don't you just get over in the right lane and not worry about it?
Oh,
Good thinking.
Because you're right. I was getting angry at them because I was afraid they were going to hit me. Like literally, it got to that point several times. Like somebody's got to give, and they're never going to give. They always want you to be behind them.
Uh-huh.
a lot of people must need this tip, huh, Mary?
Well, they must.
Well, I'm going to take it to heart. That's for darn sure. So, gosh, it's amazing just what our minds do and how it reacts if we don't control it. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it's if you I believe that everything in God's universe is balanced. There isn't anything out of balance other than our perceptions.
Ooh.
For instance, we get infatuated with when we're our first car. Oh my gosh, my first car. I love it, love it, love it. Oh, has everybody seen my new car? Looky, looky, looky. And then about 3 or 4 months later, or sooner than that, it starts to break and break and break. And you figure out what else can go wrong with this blankety blankety car. And the universal principle says anything that we're infatuated with, we will learn to resent to the same degree.
Ooh.
Isn't that amazing? Just look at the people you've been infatuated with in your life. How many of those people that you were you bought into it, you were so infatuated, and now, well, that idiot. What did I ever see in him? Or how could I ever have believed anything he said?
That has happened to me.
Yeah, be it a car or a man or a bush or whatever, you know.
Even animals, that's happened to me. I dearly loved them, but yet I could hate them at an instant for something they've done. And they're just a dumb animal. They don't know any better.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I had a kitty cat like that. I dearly loved that little kid. And he had this bad habit of spraying my furniture. I could not read him. And I just hated that behavior. And I finally got so I was calling it behavior instead of saying I hate the cat. So at least I rephrased it a little bit. But we've all got our challenges, don't we?
Constantly.
Well, what's another tip that we can use to reframe things? Is there another emotion?
Oh, yes, yes. When someone does something, you're face to face with them. It's not somebody out in the wild that you don't know. When you're face to face with someone and they say something or they do something that just aggravates the living dickens out of you, you go, okay, let's just say that it's a friend and that friend is always late. I mean, always late.
I've got a couple of those or had a couple of those in my life too.
So you ask yourself, so when was I late? On purpose. Because we know that this person is late on purpose because they're always late. And so you ask yourself, when have I been late on purpose?
Ooh.
To the same degree that they're late. And you realize, well, it's because I didn't want to be there.
Ooh.
I really didn't want to go.
Well,
second answer would be, I wanted attention.
oh.
Usually it's the late comers that want the attention if it's habit. If it's different circumstances and some of them are on, sometimes they're on time and sometimes they're not, then they probably just don't want to be there.
Okay. So as we're thinking about why am I like this, I think what you're asking us to do is to ask ourselves what we're fearful of and what we're trying to get attention for. asking questions, basically staying in the question instead of just getting frustrated over, being late. Like if you're the person that's always late. I'm going to give you a quick example because this is real life here. I was always late. Now I was young, but I was always late to school. I was always late to work. I was always late to everything I did. And everybody was always mad at me. My parents were mad at me. My spouse was mad at me. My kid was mad at me. Whatever I did, everybody was always mad at me. And I thought, I've got to get over this. Whatever the reason is that I'm late, I've got to stop doing it because I don't like it when people are mad at me. So what I did, instead of going down this road and asking questions, is I just went around the problem. So what I did was I turned all my clocks ahead 10 minutes. And then I was never late again. So now I'm like the person who's always early. So if they're going to get mad at me, it's because, why are you here so early? I wasn't ready for you yet.
Much better. I found that in networking, when I was teaching networking years ago, that was a key to shy people getting over some of their shyness. Show up early, and there's only 2 or 3 people at that point in the room, and you can start talking to 1 or 2 of those and kind of get yourself warmed up. Otherwise, when you come in not even late, if you just come in after the room's kind of full and you're still on time, or if you are late, the room is packed and you said, oh my God, I'm leaving. I can't handle all these people, because you've warmed yourself up a little bit by being there first and just getting your feet wet before the crowd arrives. It's a good way to ease yourself, because you got to take care of yourself.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So people can say, why am I shy? Why am I angry? Why am I late all the time? Why am I? I mean, literally, I'm sure that anybody who is watching the show today could say, why am I like this? For some reason, right? And it's all different for everybody.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more, Mary, about how we dig into that.
Well, first I have to explain that by the time we're 3 years old, we have created 80% of everything we believe about ourselves and others.
3?
Huge.
Oh.
By the age of 3. Because think about it, our mind starts absorbing things at 20 weeks into gestation. So let's just say your mother and father fought all the time.
Oh.
What's coming into your body from your mother's body? Adrenaline, fear, all of those things. So now we're 3 years old and we've still got the fears, just like the little girl who's shy. We still have the fears. We still have the wanting attention. We still have the need for love if we didn't get it. And we go through our entire lives not understanding why we're so needy about things. And it's because we didn't get them when we were little. So most of our really big hangups come from start with at a very early age. And Louise, in your case, it started at a very young age.
It did. Well, even another story about mine. For years, I had this unknown fear. I mean, it weighed on me and I never knew. It was always unknown. And finally, when I was in my 50s, she had to have cesareans. And back in the 40s, that was a horrible operation. Things were just, ether and all that. And she had to be cut open from stem to stern because she was so small. And my brother was first, but it was fearful. She was scared to death that she was going to die in surgery. And then all of a sudden, here comes a new baby. Oh my God, she's going to have to be cut open a second time. She was scared to death throughout my whole gestation. That's where I got that fear. I thought I was going to die because I was in my mother's womb.
I'm so glad you found that.
It was years before I realized what that was. I had her fear.
Very good.
Yeah, we got to dig. Otherwise, we just stay in that rut. And I was ready for that rut to be gone. I wanted to fly.
When I ask most people, when I do a class and ask people what is it that they were most missing, the number one thing they were most missing, they felt, was love. And when I ask them, okay, what are you most proud of? Well, I'm a very loving person.
They
So whatever we have missing or we felt was missing in our earliest childhood creates that greatest value. Because
oh,
if we don't have it, we if we feel like it's missing, then we go, oh well, I have to be loving so I can get love. And I'll say that at least, and I'm not exaggerating, at least 80% of everyone in my class comes up with either love or attention as the one thing they're most missing.
oh my. Because that's kind of where I'm coming from with my folks. They were not hands-on parents. They did not say, "Oh, I love you," a hug and a kiss. We knew they loved us, but they never demonstrated it physically. And my second husband finally taught me to hug. I did not know how to hug because I wasn't taught.
And surprisingly enough, many of our not good enoughs, smart enough, rich enough, and all that stuff comes from our siblings.
Oh,
And it's usually our older siblings based on being jealous of the new baby.
oh,
And
true.
depending on their age, if they're, say, I'm just born and I have a 2-year old brother, that 2-year old brother's not going to just love me immediately. He's going to resent the heck out of me because I've what? Taken all the attention away from him. So now he's at 2, and that's a lifelong thing he's going to feel until he does something about it.
Oh, there's your key, huh, Mary? Do something about it.
That's right. Do some introspection and find out, my big thing is if you're this way or you feel this way or that way and you don't feel good about it, and then ask yourself what's the benefit of it. It has to benefit you, or else you wouldn't be doing it.
True.
Simple. Yeah.
I know.
People who are addicted, I look at them and I go, okay, what's the benefit to you? How does it benefit you to be addicted to anything, especially narcotics? And they realize very shortly that they don't have to deal with life as long as they're addicted.
Oh, they don't have to deal with life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I never would have thought of those words, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it in different people.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So this, how does it benefit you? Again, I'll go with Newton's third law of physics. For every action, there's an equal yet opposite reaction.
Yeah.
So we have to look for, if we think it's bad, we have to say, okay, what's the benefit? If we just are absolutely infatuated with something, we have to go, what's bad about them? What's bad about this car? And get it balanced to where you're not one way or the other. You go around like this all day.
Yeah. Balance is another key. Oh, I like that. Balance. I hadn't even thought about saying life is balanced, but it must be. Not, doesn't have to be, but for life to be comfortable, it would have to be balanced.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, the not so wonderful. It's all there. And it's how we deal with it and how we choose to feel about it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And how we find it. Einstein said that a problem could not be solved at the level that it was created.
Oh, big.
Yeah, this brings to mind one of the things that I used to say about myself. Why am I so sensitive? When God was handing out, our talents and our whatevers, he accidentally went like that, and my sensitivity went to the moon. And I used to think of it as such a horrible thing until one day somebody said to me, now, Marion, instead of thinking of this as a negative, why don't you dig down inside and start loving it, right? Instead of beating myself up, learn to love that thing about you that makes you different and find qualities that pull that out of you in a positive way. So I really did shift completely, almost 100%. I shifted into, well, this is a negative, horrible thing that's happening to me, to, oh my gosh, look at all the wonderful positive things that can happen because I'm so sensitive. And so I just have to keep that in mind. And because it gave me anxiety, it gave me depression, it gave me a lot of different feelings of inadequacies and just terror sometimes about how sensitive I was. But once I got a grip on it and started asking the questions and digging down and turning it around, it made a big difference.
And it even made you a stronger person, Marion.
Yes, you've known me all through this, haven't you?
I've seen it, and it was almost like she was a whole new person. She started actually taking up for herself, which she had never really done. She'd always just gone quiet and withdrawn and said, "Oh, that hurt my feelings, and I don't like it, and I'm sad, and I'm hurt." And now she'll throw it back at me if it's me. And sometimes it is. I apologize, but she throws it back at me kindly and says, "Now that hurt my feelings." And we can all do that. Just make them aware that you've hurt my feelings. And they're going to say, "Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh, I'm so sorry." If
Or
they're
I meant to, and good. I'm glad your feelings are hurt. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hey,
that's
Danita, we have somebody in the audience. Hey, Danita, how's it going? Good to see you here.
"Oh, how are you? Nice to see you."
Danita Cole.
We love our audience. Thank you for being there. Well, Mary, what is another tip, and then we'll talk about what you do. What do you think?
Oh.
Well, what if someone says, I you hurt my feelings? What would you come back at them with?
I'd go, I'm so sorry.
But you know what? And a big hug, maybe, or tears.
Like, sure.
Yeah,
If I hurt your feelings, then that's your stuff. That's
Yeah.
not oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Is whose stuff is it? I did something one day that really upset my neighbor across the street, and she came over later and knocked on my door, and I opened it, and she just went on this rampage. And I looked at her and I said, "That's your stuff. That's not my stuff." And closed the door.
Oh,
She came back and she said, "You're right. I didn't understand why you did that. But I
oh,
thought about it and now I understand why you did it." And a lot of times we go back and go, "Oh, they hurt my feelings." Well, that's their stuff. That's not your stuff.
oh.
And I
So
think that is huge.
to
Huge.
be aware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just figure out George Carlin does a great hour long on whose stuff is it. You know, Speaking of which, can I take just a minute to give a little advertisement here?
Yes, I think that would be perfect. Let's find out what you do.
Well, the first thing I want to do is to show you a picture of my pride and joy.
I bid on that one when she did that.
I know. I just thought I'd lighten things up since we had kind of a heavy session today.
Well,
I
yeah,
do.
been good though,
I show people how to think logically about emotional issues.
which you've just done. Wow.
It's done.
Yeah,
And I specialize in relationships.
perfect, because that's where a lot of us are.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It can be a friendship. It can be your boss you're having a relationship with.
or your neighbor.
Or your neighbor, yeah. She moved. But that's what I do. And I've been
Wow.
doing it for a long, long time.
Wow. Well, sounds like you've worked through a lot of your stuff too. And I've been working with you. Mary has been helping me working through some of my STUFF. There's another word for it, but I won't use it in polite company because we've all got that stuff.
Yeah,
Nobody escapes.
that's right.
So you would like for, if anybody's interested in working with you, Mary, your phone number is here on the screen and I'm going to read it for the podcast listeners. It's 832-771-7995. And Mary lives in the Houston area. So give her a call if you're ready to work on your stuff
Or you can find me on Facebook
under Mary Mount.
under Mary Mount.
And friend her and then send her a message.
Please do. I'd love to hear from you.
There you
And if
go.
you have any questions about what we've talked about, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If I can, you know.
Well, you've had lots of good
I'm not
experience.
going to tell you it's your stuff, you know.
Wow. Well, digging in sometimes is scary. And I'm sure, Mary, that that's one of your talents, that you help people get through that uneasiness, the fearfulness of digging. Because sometimes we don't want to know what's buried there because it's scary or it's too deep. And sometimes it has to come out.
Yeah.
So that you can become the better person and fly. That's I feel like when some of the stuff's come up for me, I can fly. I'm ready to move on. And that's what we all want. We want to be better people and get rid of the stuff that we're carrying.
It lifts all that heaviness off your shoulders. It
Hmm.
lifts the burden that you've been carrying.
Yeah.
One more little thing. Never is a lie and always is a lie. I never or I always. No, you don't always. You know, when you're cooking dinner mad at your kid, you're not always nice. So when someone says the words never and always, they're lying.
And they don't even think about it like that.
Uh-huh.
And another word is everybody. No, everybody doesn't have that or whatever. So our language sometimes trips us up.
That's
So,
true.
yeah, just know it. And my mama, said this on another show. My mama always taught me there is no such word as can't. You can do, you can be, you can get better, you can move on, and you can love, you can fly, you can.
I'm
You
It's
know, I want to talk about all the different times during the day that you say to yourself, why did I do that? Or why am I like this? You know, sometimes you just need to get it out of your head. Sometimes you need to get it down on paper in order to figure it out. So if you're going to work with someone like Mary, it's best to know ahead of time what it is you're going to talk about, what it is you want to work on. So I was talking to a friend of mine and I was going, you know, I've got so much on my mind and it's just wild in there. And she said, get it out of your head and on paper, Mary, and it'll help you. And boy, did it ever. So if you're mad every day in your car, if you're nervous about heights, if you're asking yourself, why do I yell at my child? Why am I calling my cat stupid? What is it that you're doing that you say, why am I like that? Get it down on paper so that you can try to figure it out and turn it around to something positive, like I did with my sensitivity. It can happen.
yeah.
it can and does if you choose it. And
And
it's a
going back to what you said, Louise, those words, those can'ts and those, you know, won't, not, fear, they all come from childhood. And the further back you can remember, the quicker you're going to find your answers.
right. But you got to do the work.
Gotta
That's
do
the
the work.
bottom line.
And I make the work just go bloom, 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 usually.
And it's usually very quick. It's been
Yeah,
quick for me, Mary,
yeah,
and I appreciate you very much.
you're welcome.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Took what, about 15 minutes to get rid of 40 years, 50 years of it?
I love that part. I'm ready to. Well, Marion, take us home, would you?
Sure, sure, sure. So this is the Daily Reset for Success show. We're here almost every day. And we are here to not only help ourselves reset, but also to help you. So if you have any questions or you have any issues that you want to work on, or you want us to talk about something specific, let us know. We'd be happy to have you. And just like Mary was here today and we loved having her, you could be on our show as well. Or you can be in the audience and participate. I would really like to invite you to come over to our YouTube channel or to our Facebook group. And if you're listening to us on a podcast, know that you can come over and see what we look like. Look what we look like, ladies.
It's called Natural Curiosity.
Thank you. Bye. Bye for now. Bye, Mary.
Hi,
All
Mary.
right, thank you for having me.
You bet.
Anytime.
Love you all.
See you
Bye.
again soon.
You bet.